The Monroe Doctrine is a policy of the United States introduced on December 2, 1823. It stated that further efforts of the European nations to colonize land or interfere with states in North or South America would be viewed as acts of aggression requiring U.S. intervention.
The doctrine was issued at a time when nearly all Latin American colonies of Spain and Portugal had achieved independence from the Spanish Empire. The doctrine noted that the United States would neither interfere with existing European colonies nor meddle in the internal concerns of European countries.
President James Monroe was the 5th President of the United States. He first stated the Monroe Doctrine during his 7th annual State of the Union address to Congress.
He was born in Westmoreland County, Virginia. Monroe fought in the American Revolutionary War. He was injured in the Battle of Trenton with a musket ball to his shoulder.
The full document of the Monroe Doctrine is long and couched in diplomatic language, but its essence is expressed in 2 key passages. The first is the introductory statement.
The second key passage, a fuller statement of the doctrine, is addressed to the Allied powers of Europe. It clarifies that the United States remains neutral on existing European colonies in the Americas, but is opposed to interpositions that would create new colonies among the newly independent Spanish-American republics.
Because the U.S. lacked both a credible navy and army at the time, the doctrine was largely disregarded internationally.
The Monroe Doctrine was viewed as a precursor to this special relationship, similar to the United Kingdom's proposal to the United States of a League of Nations. Nearly 100 years later, Canning's proposal deflected ideas into the American decision-making process in such a manner that they seemed to be part of Washington's own.
With the exception of the Monroe Doctrine, Monroe's second term as president was relevantly uneventful. The 2 principles of the doctrine, non-colonization and non-intervention, were not new or original. However, it was Monroe who explicitly proclaimed them as policy, and it was a keystone for foreign policy for many years.
Monroe had no thought of seeking a 3rd term as the election of 1824 neared. He was 67 years old when he turned over the presidency to John Quincy Adams. Monroe died on July 4, 1831, 12 years after proclaiming the Monroe Doctrine, and the 55th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
A quote from the Monroe Doctrine.
In the discussions to which the interest has given rise, and in the arrangements by which they may terminate, the occasion has been deemed proper for asserting as a principle in which rights and interests of the United States are involved, that the American continents, by the free and independent condition which they have assumed and maintained, are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for further colonization by the European power.